Recording in progress on the Ultimate Sports Network. This is Real Boxing Talk. We are going to talk about real boxing. We were discussing beforehand what to talk about, and we thought there's only one thing to talk about this week. I don't know if I want to call it the fight of the century, the buildup of the century. How does that sound? No? Okay. It is the most talked about, I guess, of what the ramifications are. I don't know if it's going to be the greatest fight, but it's something we've been pointing to for a while. We finally get this one out of the way. I forgot who it was. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Gentlemen, welcome once again. This is going to be interesting. So let's start this way. Now you people won't be able to tell off the air, but my screen is skewed here because of various different things. So I'm used to John being here and Charles being there, and now I got to figure out what's going on. So let's start with Secret Square number one. John, what is the significance of this fight? Just a quick little blurb about why you think this is significant.
Well, it's very significant for both fighters, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. For Fury, wins, he can either fight Usyk, the conqueror of Anthony Joshua, but Joshua has a rematch with Usyk. So probably what Fury does if he wins, he waits for the winner of the Usyk Joshua rematch. He wants Joshua, obviously. Most people want that so that he can finally fight Joshua. For Wilder, if he loses, not good. I mean, you lose twice to the same guy. Your career isn't over. I read a lot of things on social media that said that if he loses, his career is over. No, I don't believe so. I think he can still do what he does. There's a lot of heavyweights he can fight. So that's the significance in the heavyweights. I mean, we've got this small group of guys that we think are the top guys, Fury, Wilder, and Joshua. They're three, and they're the ones that are mostly talked about. That's the thing that's kind of sad about it. But this is good because just a few weeks ago we had Usyk, and now Usyk. What am I saying? Now Usyk is up there. So now we've got four guys: Usyk, Joshua, Fury, and Wilder. And that's better than three. It still saddens me that there's not like 8 or 9 that we could discuss. Right. But so that makes this fight a big fight for the heavyweight division, for the future of the heavyweight division, for Eddie Hearn's pocketbook. I mean, this is a big Frank Warren too. He handles Tyson Fury, so this is a biggie. And then on a personal level, real fast, Deontay Wilder. I think this is very personal for Deontay Wilder. I think he probably wants this win more than anything he's ever wanted in his life. Not saying a lot. He has a family with a great wife and some sweet kids. I think he really, really wants it. Wanting it and getting it are two different things.
Charles, as we've seen some of the buildup. Now, we're not there yet. This is only the beginning of fight week. So we still have some more to go. But what we've seen as in comparison to the buildup of the last fight, or even the aftermath of the last fight, what does it appear to be the mental state or the preparedness of either guy or both of the guys?
Well, I think from what I just saw something recently about Tyson Fury, and he just seemed real calm, right? He seems like he knows what he needs to do, and he feels very confident. I think Deontay Wilder, on the other hand, is a guy that's like, you know what? I'm going to let you guys know I'm ready, but I don't want to let you know everything. He's a lot more secretive. I think he's quite determined. We're not sure what the changing of trainers is going to do, right? We think that he says he's ready, but we'll see. But I think he comes in with a serious attitude as to wanting to prove people wrong, that he really is who he, still the bronze bomber, and then doing it from the standpoint of saying, I lost once, but I'm ready, and I'm ready to come back. So I think considering what compared to the other fights, this is it's almost like it's like a draw, right? It's almost like 1-1, right? Even though you say the first one was a draw, it's kind of like 1-1 because he wasn't supposed to get up, and according to a lot of people. But the Fury, that is. But it's like kind of 1-1, and this is like the tiebreaker. A lot of people were seeing it that way. But what's weird, and I guess there's not, we said on the show, there has not been a lot of promotion, not a lot of marketing, you one would think, compared to how big this fight is or should be. It's almost like they're letting it sell itself, right?
Right.
Because it's almost like the less you say, the more it intrigues people. Because people still gonna buy the fight. We had the arrivals today, the grand arrivals come in today. You know how it works in the fight week. Then they'll do the press conference and they'll go down the line, they'll get to the weigh-in. But people are going to tune in. And sometimes in this particular fight, I think it's one that you really didn't have to super sell because it sold itself and it's selling itself. The fact that it's going to even happen is going to make people excited.
Right,
because
right.
Everybody said, oh, it's not going to happen. He had COVID. Now, Tyson Fury said he had COVID twice. A lot of people don't know that. He said he had COVID twice. So the factor that it's even happening, I think is what's going to sell tickets and have people watching, because a lot of people didn't think it would take place.
And John, is this fight so big in our minds that they know it's going to sell out? Is it so big they don't have to worry about stuff? Because is this the Hagler, or I'm sorry, the Hagler-Leonard fight? Let's use that one as an example. They didn't have to hype that at all. We knew it was happening. Everyone knew it was happening. It was no big deal. Have we been waiting long enough for this fight that it's like, let's just go out and do it?
No, it's not that big. No, and it's a mystery to me. I mean, I heard from sources that they can't sell any tickets now. Now you're there in Vegas, Frank. I don't know what you're hearing, but they're giving away tickets already. That's what I heard, and I because it's not selling. It doesn't mean it's true. That could be somebody with bad feelings towards the promoters or whatever. Right. You don't know. I'm not there, so I would, if I was, I would have went down there and asked one of the box office people, hey, how the tickets going? You know, how they sell?
What's happening here? Right.
Yeah, what's going on? I don't see any lines. What's going on? I don't know. I think it's a mixed thing. Obviously, it might be one of those last minute things, Frank, where people show up, Thursday, Friday morning and go, you know what? We really want to go to the fight. We're going to do it. So I don't know how much they sold. Like I said 100 times, if this was England, the seats would have been all sold minutes after the fight was announced. This is not England. I'm sure a lot of people are coming over from the pond to the fight to cheer for Fury. He's got a lot of fans, so that probably will put a lot of butts in the seats. Wilder, as we know, is the big time villain. Not a lot of people like him. It's hard because the marketing, like Charles said. I did see some commercials on television, and I went, oh, okay. And they did a pretty good job because they reminded people what Wilder was able to do to Fury in the first fight. Right. I like that. And then they showed what Fury did to him. I think most people have just got the second fight stuck in their mind, and so I wrote an article that said, how much of a chance does Deontay Wilder have to defeat Tyson Fury? And I had like 5 or 6 responses. None, 0, no chance. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, wow. So I think that's kind of the stumbling block they're having. So I thought that was pretty wise to show the first fight. But even with that, the significance in the heavyweights right now, Frank, would have been Joshua and Fury. That would have been huge, and it would have sold out in London. It wouldn't have been here, but Deontay is only selling out when he goes back home to Alabama, and this one is not in Alabama. Too bad. Might have brought him up, lifted him up, to have so many people cheering for him. So I think it's like this. I can't really get a gauge. I mean, it'd be nice if it's sold out, but here it is 4 days before, and I haven't heard anything about it. So it's like that.
Well, Charles, is it like, I remember like Apollo 14 or 12 or whatever the hell it was, they're going to the moon again after like they've been there 3 times. And it suddenly had no coverage. They're like, it was Apollo 13. Yeah. It's like, well, they've done it before. Big deal. They're going to walk on the moon for about 15 minutes and get back and come back. Good big deal. Is it because of the trilogy that we aren't looking at this as something that's going to be a spectacle? We kind of in our minds know how it's going to play out. Like you said, John said, 6 or 7 people said, Wilder's got no chance. Is there something in this inherently we go, this is going to be a good fight because of 2 good fighters, or it's going to be a lackluster fight because of what we've already seen?
See, that's why, I understand about the marketing and ticket sales may not seem like they're going through the roof or anything like that. But I think it's going to be a good fight because of what we've seen before, right? You see the first fight, and you had the big bad Deontay Wilder coming at him, throwing that bomb, and he catches Fury. Fury falls to the ground, but then he gets up, and it's like
he was out. Yeah.
And then of course after that you go, man, you lucky as hell that you got up. And then
I thought he was out.
Yeah, everybody did.
Looked like it.
Everybody but Fury thought he was out. Fury gets up.
Right.
And then with that, Fury says, I'm going to change my corner, folks. I love my guys, been with them guys forever, but I need a different twist. I need to be more physical because I took that shot and I think I can handle him the rest of the way. If I don't let him throw and hit me, I can win. I can bully him. So he changed it, threw sugar in there, right? From Crunk Gym, and it worked. So I think with that being said, and we keep using that lovely word crafty, just the styles, and now that Wilder's saying, okay, I got a guy now. Okay, he may not have been the best boxer, but I think he understands the game a little bit more, and I got some new people. And it's almost like chess, right? In a way that, okay, you did this last time. Now I'm gonna trump you by flipping my pieces, right? Doing that type of thing. So I think with that being said, if nothing else, that's intriguing to me because we always say Wilder can't box, Wilder can't do this. But technically, when you look at it, and when we say this, I say this, Wilder does not really have to learn how to become a brand new boxer. All right, that's what we think. A lot of people say, well, if he moves, stick and move and do that, throw that jab.
Right.
No, all he has to do, in my opinion, he has to learn how to keep Fury off of him, which means you can do that by movement, right? And he has to throw even just a little pawing jab so he can land that right hand. That makes him dangerous. Fury knows that. That's why Fury was all up on him in the last fight, plans to do the same thing this time. Because when he has an opportunity to punch and reach you, Deontay Wilder is still very dangerous. So with these philosophies coming together, Fury said, I'm going to be bigger this time. All this coming together, and we know how strong mentally Deontay Wilder is. He doesn't like to be considered a loser. He does not like to be considered somebody that's not worthy. And people wrote him off after one fight, so one loss. So with all that being said, I think it's very intriguing. I mean, I'm excited because it's like, at least I know what I think I'm going to get, right? Whatever happens, it's like, but just to kind of go, it's just another fight. No, Anthony Johnson is just another fight to me right now. Whoever we fight, because you got to prove it to me. I watched you twice against guys that were so clearly, supposedly inferior. Twice. And you had everything behind you. You got 3 belts, and you went flat.
You got none, right.
This right here, I'm intrigued because the guys brought it. They have brought it. One guy did one time, other guy showed you I can do it this way. So now we come to the creme de la creme, the climax, if you will. Let's get it on.
and it, from what you're saying, reminds me of the Super Bowl last year. It's like, okay, even if, this is what I was thinking going into it, even if Tampa Bay outplays Kansas City for the majority of the game, all Kansas City needs is 3 or 4 plays, and they can win the game. Didn't happen, but that's the way that offense was. So I think with Wilder, it's like, all I need to do is get that shot. May come in round 2, may come in round 9. All I need to do is get loose one time to let it go. That's what he's saying. Well, John, we're talking, at least that's the way I think he's saying. John, we use that phrase, styles make fights. But rarely do we dig into what we think the style is going to be. So what is Tyson Fury's style going to be for this fight?
I think he'll do just what he did in the second fight because it worked so effectively. From what I'm hearing, again, rumors, not verified, I haven't verified these, is he's going to be even bigger than he was in the second fight. Now, he weighed 273 for the second fight. So we're talking, this is the rumor, 20 more pounds. So now I don't know if that's true, but they were true about Andy Ruiz when he fought Joshua the second time. So there's probably somewhere between 1 and 20 more pounds. So whatever he is, he's going to be a big mammoth hulk of a dude. And he knows, and because Wilder has never been able to show he can do this. You know what that is? Fighting, backing up. So he's going to make Wilder fight while he's moving backwards. And a lot of guys can't do that. You know, that's an odd thing. That's not normal. You know, we walk forward. We don't walk backwards.
Right. Right.
So feel like you're losing your momentum when you walk backwards and try to throw a big, powerful punch, right? You got to put all your weight. You got to shift your weight. And that's what Fury did to Wilder in the second fight is he did it a little in the first fight, but he kept him on his back foot more. And you could tell Wilder was like, wait a minute. You know, what's interesting is people forget and I watched the second fight again. In round one, Wilder actually tagged Fury with a good right hand. From what I understand, he was a little buzzed. So if Wilder had jumped on him sooner, we might be talking about a totally different thing right here.
Right.
So I like what Charles said, but I'm not sure if Wilder could stand. Man, I've been saying for the longest time he needs to stand there, Wilder, and say, no, you're not going to make me go backwards. I'm going to make you go backwards. So putting out that jab, that might stop. I'm talking about, you know, George Foreman type jab. It doesn't have to be that powerful. Charles is right. Just get something out there to make Fury pause a little bit. Make him think a little bit. And then start winging that right hand. That's basically it. That's what I would do. And to show maybe you could move a little bit. I've been seeing Wilder on tape. He's moving to his left. He's moving to his right. Things he's really never done. So maybe when Fury comes towards him, he can shift to his left or right, make him think again. So all the people that commenting and saying that Wilder doesn't have a chance, they're not right. He definitely has a chance. He has a good chance. Not a 50% chance, but he definitely has a chance.
Well, Charles, let's carry that team a little further. If Tyson Fury comes in at 290, let's just say that, and that seems a little ridiculous, but okay. There are defensive linemen that are 6'8", 290, or 320 or 350 or whatever. But we're looking at a 12-round fight, maybe. Will he have the agility, the mobility, and the stamina, you think, to be able to go 12 rounds at 290? Or does he have to get a knockout because he may not be able to last 12 rounds? Do you see that being possible for Fury?
Well, yeah, but the Fury's type of dude, man, I think you got to know your body. He has a big body, right?
Right.
So I think he's the guy that can fluctuate with weight. He could be super small. Him being super small might be a problem because he might be, you know, fatigued or whatever, or he might drain himself out. But I think if he's going to be 290 or even somewhere, whatever, in the range of 285, whatever it's going to be, 280, whatever, he is going to be quite comfortable with that weight, right? And his plan is to not say, he's don't feel like he's going to have to chase Deontay Wilder like that. I'm going to do what we did before. I'm going to get close to him. I'm going to lean on him. If he's leaning on him for the majority of the fight, when he does move, he's feeling comfortable because he's basically saying he's not having to work that much. But if Deontay Wilder starts to move and was more mobile, then we might have a problem with stamina. But I think coming in, they go, well, we know what's going to happen, right? They're thinking to themselves, okay, just my philosophy on it. If I hit him a couple times, he might try to move, but once I start tagging him and I lean on him, he's going to revert back to the old ways that he knows. Because what happens when you start getting hit in the face and you have a plan, things change and you revert back to your old ways because that's when you were successful. And I think that's how it's going to come up, where that's what Fury's looking at. And it's like, hell, it happened the first time, thinking maybe he may not be able to transform and switch to being more mobile. So if he's going to fight the same fight, I'm going to keep doing, basically, I'm going to do what I do, keep doing what I'm doing until you make me do something different.
Well, now that begs the question, and that's a very good point, begs the question of looking at it from Wilder's perspective. Do I have to come in and be a different guy, John? Do I have to come in and be a little bit more mobile, a little more side to side, a little bob and weave? Do I have to make this big behemoth chase me around the ring a little bit, or at least to make 2 or 3 steps? Am I going to go put my head on his chest and try and slug that way? Does he make a change, or is he capable of making that change? Or does he feel like he has to make that change?
He's been working with Malik Scott for 6 months, and he said in an interview that Malik really hasn't taught him a lot of things, a few things, but it's been more of a feeling, a spiritual thing, and it's been keeping his mind going. He's still complaining that Fury cheated, which I wish. I mean, whatever drives you to feel like you lost, okay, but I think he will move a little more. I think that's very good again by Charles. I think if you can get the big dude moving around a little bit more, who knows? But not moving around the way he wants to move around. That's the key. Make him do things that he doesn't want to do. And Wilder's never going to be Muhammad Ali and move around the ring and do anything like that.
Right.
Just a few movements, a few little things that are different will be enough. And then if he could do it, if he walks away from Fury, that'll make Fury walk after him, and then he meets him in the center of the ring. I mean, there's just these little cagey little tricks that Malik Scott will probably teach him to either conserve his own stamina or try to make Fury work harder. Mm-hmm. So that's intriguing. And then, of course, there's been a buzz around around again in social media that Fury is not focused, that it's all an act. And Wilder's been saying, I feel like a gossip columnist here. Wilder's been saying that there was no proof that Fury had COVID, and it was all a game to get him out of the fight. And that could be. We don't know. But and interestingly enough, a number of people, maybe not on my article today, but a number of people on Twitter and everything are saying that they now believe that Wilder is going to win. So I don't know what is driving that necessarily, unless you believe rumors very strongly. But Wilder, I think, will be a little different guy, Frank. But he is what he is, and Charles is right again that when he gets into a tough spot, he gets backed into the ropes like this. You know what he's going to be thinking? Oh, just give me a second. Let this right hand go. That's him. That's Wilder. So, yeah, there will be a few things, but he's still, I think, basically going to be what he is. The first 5 rounds are going to be really, really the key.
Well, and then that begs the question. If it goes deep, if Wilder can get Fury to deep water, or better yet, Charles, can Wilder take Fury to deep water?
I think he can, but he got to move. He has to move. He cannot allow him to be a rug or a mat laying on top of him, because that literally, and we saw in the second fight, that literally minimizes Wilder's ability to punch. So if he's laying on him like he was, everything he's throwing is like a wild hook or something, and it does not allow you to cock back and throw that right hand. It's all limited here. Also, too, when a guy that big is laying on you, you know how that is. You can't get him off of you. You become tired, because the majority of your movements and the way you're moving, you're making movements to get him off of you, when you should be conserving that energy to punch and do damage. But if you're like, man, and the referee's not doing anything to break us up either, that just even belabors the problem even more, which creates frustration for Wilder. So movement has to be the key. You have to be first. If you're just letting him lay on you, I think it's gonna be the same thing. I mean, granted, he catch him with a bomb, but I bet you Fury's feeling very confident. If I want to lay on him so much, I'm not gonna give him a chance to hit me that hard. And if I got up the first time after one of the greatest bombs, what we consider in boxing history, I got up. If I keep him contained, I think he can win. I think he thinks he can win. And so the answer to your question is, I think in order for Deontay Wilder, if they need to go to deep waters, he's gonna have to be mobile and move.
Okay, let's look at the history of this. When we brought up the Maloney Franco fight a few months ago, and we were talking about who got more out of which fight, 1 or 2, and I thought maybe Maloney did because he was more dominant in 2, and apparently I was wrong, and you guys were deciding more on, I got it shot. But that's the idea. But Who gets
Trying
more
to tell you,
from-
Frank.
It's not my job to know stuff. It's my job to ask stuff. I don't know what he said. Who gets more from the history of the first two fights? John, is it Fury because he won the second fight and he got up and tasted the power in the first fight? Or is it Wilder knowing I can tag him, and as you mentioned in the second fight, I buzzed him in the first round. I probably should have done something then. Who gets more out of the history of that?
Well, Fury, because Fury, in my view, even won the first fight, even though it was draw. He still won like 8 out of 9 rounds, 8 or 9 of the 12 rounds. Fury got knocked down a couple times and it should have been out in the 12th, but he still outboxed Wilder. And a lot of people feel that that strategy that he used wasn't the correct strategy, and he made the change in fight 2. So he's feeling like this is going to be, he basically said in an interview, this isn't even a challenge. This guy isn't even a challenge to me. Maybe that's where all that talk on social media about him being overconfident is coming from. Is it's just Deontay. Well, I'm just going to smash him. All these words that he's been using. So yeah, he has a little bit of the edges as far as that goes because of that. But then again, if I'm Wilder, and this is like we were doing with Maloney and Franco when we were saying, wait a minute, Franco knows that he won the first fight. Wilder will sell himself that one, that he cheated me. And 2, the second fight was a draw, or the first fight was a draw. I didn't lose it. And I knocked his ass down a couple times, and he shouldn't have got up. So I didn't hit him with my right hand when I knocked him out, which is my Susie Q. I hit him with a left hook, which was a great left hook. Let me hit him again with my right hand perfectly. And we'll see if he gets up. So there's a lot of this going in.
Right.
And I think Malik Scott has been working with Wilder to get the second fight out of his mind more and get him focused more on the first fight, but then with a little tweaking going on to move around a little bit and do clever little things. So yeah, because of that, you know what? If I was Wilder, I wouldn't care. I would be trying to just focus on this is a third fight. This is a restart. I'm going to be, he said, rejuvenated, remotivated, revitalized. A lot of re's going on there. So Fury has the mental edge in a way, but Wilder, I like how, I said this last week, I like how he's really staying away from Fury and not arguing with him and doing all that, because that's good. Just stick with what you're trying to do. Know you're the underdog. You've got a million people that you want to prove wrong. I mean, it's kind of like in a smaller scale, Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, meaning that there was basically nobody that thought Muhammad Ali was going to beat George Foreman. I mean, same with Sonny Liston, but I think it was even worse with George Foreman. I mean, everybody thought Ali was going to get killed, including his own corner. Right. And what we later found out. He had to calm everybody down and go, come on, what's everybody so sad about? Come on. I mean, now, Deontay is not mom. Nobody is the greatest. Right. There's only one. He was tremendous. I miss him daily. But maybe Wilder can take that mindset that, okay, this guy's just a man, and I do a few things. I think I can beat him, even if we all think that Fury has a bit of an edge, and everybody thinks Fury's going to beat me. I got some surprises up my sleeve here. So yeah, Fury with the edge, but see how long that lasts.
All right, Charles. Now, which fighter or which camp, let's put it that way, went to school on the last two fights? Which camp said, okay, here's what we learned from that and how we're going to apply what we're going to do in the third fight? What did they see? Let's start with Fury's camp. Is there anything that they got from this that now we can build on this and improve, or like, we're cool?
No, they might say they're cool, but I think the one thing that he saw that they're going to build on even more, which is why he's talking about being stronger. He said, I can literally physically, put my will on him, right? I can be bigger. I can control him. And that's what I'm going to do. We can control him in the corner. He doesn't like people that are bigger than him. It's kind of like that Mike Tyson effect. For years, everybody talking about how bad Mike Tyson was till he started fighting bigger guys. The Holyfields, the Buster Douglases that could literally lean on him and realize he wasn't as big as everybody thought. He wasn't this monster. He actually was quite small for that division. And once one guy did it, everybody's like that. So I think Fury is like, everybody else is scared of the monster. I told you once I got up from the first fight, I'm not afraid of him anymore. And I know I'm stronger than he is. And I think they're going to build off of that. And he's told you, I gained more weight. I'm going to be more comfortable and probably going to do even more elbowing in the mouth and roughing him up, stuff he don't like. He don't like people punching him that way. And I think that's where Fury is going to, his side is saying that.
It's almost, I'm going to bully the bully.
Yeah. And you know, because bullies don't like to be bullied. It's kind of like in basketball. Most teams that press don't like to be pressed.
Right. I loved it, but that's another story. Okay. Now, John, has the camp, Malik Scott, as opposed to Mark Breland, have they said, or are they thinking, here's what we need to switch. Here's what we need to do differently. Here's what we've learned from those two fights. Or is it just, you need to do what you did better?
I think he's been expressing that to Deontay about, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to do to win. And we did some good things, a few good things in the first fight. And because he said that, Malik said that in an interview. We did some good things in the first fight. We just need to do what we did more in the first fight than we did in the second fight. So I think actually I've come to appreciate the change. With Breland, even though he was unfair to Mark Breland, I think in his mind, this fresh start with Malik Scott, not that it'll necessarily lead him to victory, but I think in his own mind, he needed this. His former head trainer now is basically on the sidelines. So it's just Malik and Deontay Wilder. So in that way, I see it now. I understand it. I actually agree with it. I could see as an athlete why he did it, why it makes sense to him. It has to make sense to him. You know, as we said, boxing is individual. Boxing is an individual sport. You have to be comfortable with what you're doing. If you're not comfortable, like if he had just told Breland, look, I don't agree with what you did, but let's move on. He might have been back there someplace and he wouldn't have listened very much to him anyway. So I get that. I think he will try to do what Malik Scott has told him to do. He will employ some of the tactics. Will it help? It could. It could. But you know that guy Fury is going to be ready for that. So that's going to be the issue that Wilder's going to be facing on Saturday night.
Well, are we looking, Charles, are we looking at the fact that after this fight, we're looking at someone who's going to be one of the best heavyweights of this generation? Does that put them in the elite company of some of the best heavyweights of all time? Or is this generation? Are the heavyweights so far down that we have this build up, this hope for this fight, this trilogy, and then at the end of the day, we're going to go, yeah, well, we finally got a champion.
Yeah, I don't know about putting either one of these guys up on that upper echelon, bro. I mean, that you gotta give them their props for whoever wins this and whoever. If you go ahead and fight Joshua or Usyk later on, you become the guy, the last man standing. You gotta give them their props for doing that. But when you look at the level of talent that we had before with the consistency, right, and guys being able to do so many different things. And not only that, unfortunately, back in the day, and I hate to sound like an old ass man, which I am, but
back in my day.
But back in the day, the talent level across the board made what these guys have accomplished back in the day even more impressive. Unfortunately for the Deontay Wilders of the world and Fury and even Joshua, when you look at Deontay Wilder's records, you don't go, man, you remember when he fought? You know, we can only remember. We fought Fury, right? We saw him beat Ruiz, right? You know, Ortiz, I'm sorry. When he beat Ortiz. And then we're like, well, damn, he had fought Joshua. But because of that level of talent is not there, now I'm going to say they're great. They're solid, good fighters. But to put them up in the upper echelon of great heavyweights, because I was looking at the other day, we were looking at that wonderful, wonderful PBS documentary on Muhammad Ali by Ken Burns. Awesome.
It's great.
Yeah,
great.
Wonderful, because it showed you so much realness and things you didn't see before of Ali being in the ring and the way he literally threw punches. You can literally see him like, oh my God, he was that fast. But to get back to the point is of like Frazier's record. Frazier lost 4 fights, man, to two natural solid heavyweights, twice to Ali and twice to Foreman. Other than that, it's like, and he don't get any love. He didn't get a lot more love because of his nemesis was the greatest of all time.
Right.
And when you put that in perspective, like I said, I would love to see Frazier versus Tyson. Because dude is like, if you don't understand how to beat me, I'm gonna hurt you. So I think we tend, because we look at, I say this very quickly, the flavor of the month, right? These guys it's their time. When we start comparing eras, unlike basketball, we literally can start looking at stuff differently as boxing. So I think, to answer your question, I think unfortunately their lack of quality opponents will put them at a disadvantage when you consider greatness, because we still don't believe. I mean, Wilder's 40 fights, knockouts. Who the hell you fought, bro? I know we said that about Crawford, but we finally fighting somebody. But it's like, who's challenged you?
Well, and that's what I just decided to call this up. Let's go back 5, 6, 7 years. Liakovic, Malik Scott, Stavern, Chris Arreola, Stavern again, Luis Ortiz, Gerald Washington. Guys that Dominique Brazil, guys that we know, but guys aren't going to say, man, that was a great win. We're not going to say that. So I guess we're putting them in the category of, say, a Greg Page, a Mike Weaver, a guy that got the job done, but it just didn't jump off the page and, man, these guys are great champions. Does that sound about right, John?
And see, I don't think Wilder gets enough credit for beating Luis Ortiz twice.
Twice, right.
And I think the proof is that, as Charles likes to say, and I always nod, is you don't see guys calling out Luis Ortiz.
Right.
You see Luis Ortiz calling out guys like we said with Dillian White, and Dillian goes,
nope, don't want that, right.
He doesn't say a word. So what does that say? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. It says that even though Luis Ortiz might be 68 years old, he can still just about beat everybody, and Wilder knocked him out twice.
Right.
Second time, when he was losing every round, he knocked him out. So you got to give him props. Wilder was going to go to Europe and fight Povetkin.
Right.
Povetkin gets busted for steroids or something. So that's not Wilder's fault. He was going to take the gamble and fight a guy that is highly respected, knocked out Dillian White. And he was younger. Povetkin was this is like 4 years ago, I think now. So people forget about that. And Luis Ortiz, he give any of these guys problems. Joshua, think he had problems with Usyk. He definitely had problems with Luis Ortiz.
Right.
So you gotta give him that. And you're right, Frank. Other than that, his record is obviously very spotty. Again, he's fighting. These guys are all top contenders. Stavern was a champ. You can have no respect for Stavern. I have respect for him, but he still was a champion in the end of being Stavern. I had a soft spot for Stavern. I talked to him in Vegas. He's a great guy, Frank. If you ever run into him, talk to him. He's about the nicest guy in the world. Super, super nice guy. So again, that's not Wilder's fault that these guys aren't that good, and he's beating all these guys. So it's always convoluted to me when it comes to. Because then again, like I always bring up Rocky Marciano. Well, he beat all these guys. They were old. What was he supposed to do? Go into a time machine 4 years before and make them all younger? It's not his fault that happened. So I think if you look at it, Fury and Wilder's record, I think, because I'm trying to remember, Fury beat Chisora a couple of times.
Chisora twice.
He beat Klitschko, which was huge. Mm-hmm. But his record isn't exactly sparkling either. He's undefeated. He's undefeated, right? Does he have any household names other than Klitschko? Klitschko was the biggie that put him on the map. right?
Let's go to Sora, Steve Cunningham. Those are your guys, right?
Cunningham knocked him on his ass, and I will admit this. I jumped off the chair and went, yes! Because I really like Steve Cunningham. So, it's like that. But that, in a way, that really says what the heavyweights are nowadays. Speaking real quickly about what Charles said, you think about Muhammad Ali, you think about Joe Frazier, George. Look who those guys fought.
Right.
Look at the names on those records that they fought. Even the secondary guys like Mac Foster were good. Ron Lyle. I mean, I don't even want to consider him second. I mean, those are some damn good fighters. So it's hard not to be an old grouchy guy with a cane going, back in my day when I had real fighters. Is there some truth to it? These guys are good. I'll just say that. They're good. But they can't hold a candle to the guys back in the 70s. No way. Like Charles said, watch that documentary of Muhammad Ali. It's fabulous.
This segment's sponsored by Ken Burns. No, but understanding that I'm trying PBS and all that, but understanding that if you got a Jimmy Young, Ron Lyle fight, it wasn't for anything other than Jimmy Young and Ron Lyle. And you still got a good fight. I mean, you came away from watching a fight like that going, wow, these guys aren't champions? Who the hell's got the belts? Well, now you go, all right, we've got Adam Konaki and Chris Arreola fight. Okay.
I mean, laughable.
Yeah, well, we've said this before, and we all mean it. It's true. Anybody that gets in the ring,
right? And I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, they deserve all respect in the world because we're not doing it. We're not going to do it. Right.
Utmost respect, yes.
But as far as the spectacle that we want to watch, right? We're not just rolling over going, man, I can't believe we missed that fight. So that's the part that is sorely lacking right now, and I think that I don't want to say disrespect, but we don't give credit to where credit is due. As you said, I beat everybody. If you're Tyson Fury and I beat everybody, I can't do anything about who I had to beat. I still beat them. So you can say, drop me back in the 70s, would I have been dominant? Well, you can't do that, but if you did, I think I would be. I don't know. That's the whole fun of the debate and of the looking at it historically, is we can throw it all out there what we want. Now, here's the question that I think deserves to be asked of both of you and of everybody else. Was there anybody in the history of boxing, we're going to go on the Tyson Fury side right now, that said, my way of making this fight go to my advantage is to not come in shape and to put on pounds and to just lean on it, dude? Can you think of anybody in the heavyweight division that said, I'm going to get bigger and not leaner? Charles, can you think of anybody that went, yeah, my goal is just to be a big bruising lug, and that's going to be it?
Well, let me just say this. I wouldn't say they came in with I'm going to be a blob or anything like that. But as far as them little like training, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, I'm going to drop weight, I don't think they had to. And I'm going to name one person because he was who he was when he came back. That's George Foreman. George Foreman was, just like, hey, I am who I am. I mean, I might drop a little bit here, but you're not going to see me doing too much road work. Right. I'm coming in, I do what I do, I don't stay close. I'm going to punch you in the mouth. I'm going to chop some wood.
Eat a cheeseburger.
Come in and eat a couple of cheeseburgers, and I'm going to hit you in the mouth. So I say George.
And I'm also going to stand up all 12 rounds. I'm not going to use a stool. I'm in shape. Yeah. Of course, I think, in my opinion, that was, if I sit down, I may not get back up. But that's another story. That's another story entirely. Okay, now, the flip side of that, John, is we have Wilder. We've seen him. He's looking like he's trying out for a Greek tragedy. He's built like Adonis right now. And I mentioned Mike Weaver, so that was what is sticking in my head. Is there anyone that you can think of, or any reason why he may be in, this is going to come out wrong, but too good of a shape
Well, you can get overtrained, and that's going to be stale on fight night, and that has happened to a number of guys. They say they left a lot of their fight in the gym. I don't understand the weightlifting thing, to be honest. I've never been a big fan. Maybe a little, but it looked like Deontay was really, really pounding the weights there, and I don't know if he was trying to make himself. I mean, he's in great shape. I mean, he looks like he is. Evander Holyfield, when he was younger, he was another one that was just cut, and there wasn't an ounce of flab on him. He looked really strong because he was small, shorter, 6'2" instead of 6'6". And Wilder has really, really skinny legs, if you guys have noticed.
Yeah.
And so in that respect, that's why if he weighs 225 on Friday, that'll be 5 or 6 pounds, maybe more than usual, maybe even 230. I would have him come around his normal weight if I was his trainer. But no, the look, if that's your question, a real muscular guy doesn't really prove. Primo Carnera looked like he could knock down a house with one punch, and he couldn't. Max Baer knocked him out with just 11 times when they fought. So bulking up for whatever, I don't think that's it, because that can slow you down. And I was thinking in boxing, it's the last thing you want. You don't want to be slower. If possible, you want to be faster, because it's all so quick. Everything's
right.
Everything in pro sports. Every athlete who goes from college, this, the basketball or football, always go, God, the pro game is so much faster than. And Fury is a freak. We're talking about a 6'9", 280-pound guy that can move, and his hands are faster than any heavyweight right now, especially for a guy his weight, size. So, I don't think it really is a big deal. I don't really understand it, so I can't really answer that because I've never quite understood it. Holyfield, yes. Tyson, yes. But they weren't massively. They were in great shape. But they weren't like trying to be like weightlifters or not weightlifters, trying to be in some kind of an Arnold Schwarzenegger type contest, where you're doing all these kind of moves. I don't really think it helped you.
Okay. All right. This is going to be kind of a rapid fire. You're going to say either Wilder, Fury, or neither one. Charles, best jab.
Fury.
Same question, John.
Fury.
Okay. John, ability to take a punch.
Well, they both can take a punch pretty well. Yeah, Fury's been down a few times, but Wilder, I think that was the second time he got knocked down, when he got knocked down by Fury. So I think he could take a pretty good punch, but he didn't get hit very much because he's knocking everybody out. So it's kind of unknown a little bit. I would say they both take a punch pretty well.
Okay. Charles?
I'm going to go with Fury. I still think about that first fight and then that last knockdown. Dude got up, and nobody thought he would. He got up in time and really probably changed his outlook on this entire series.
Okay. John, movement.
Well, that's Fury. I mean, Fury, like I just said, he's a freak. He's a big guy. He can move around. He's a boxer, really. He's turned himself into more of a puncher boxer here in this series, but he'll drive Joshua crazy if they ever fight, because he'll move around, look like this big mammoth dude, which he is, and then he won't be there. So, he's got that edge big time.
Okay. Charles?
Yeah, definitely Fury. I agree with a lot of stuff what John said, but just from the standpoint, too, of the way that Fury is able to change in both fights, right? He was trying to move and run from the right hand the first fight, trying to stay alive. Second fight, he moved closer to get at an angle so he could punish Wilder more. So all that based on movement, even though he was closer in than he was the first fight.
Okay. Charles, recuperation skills. Who can recover the best or the quickest or whatever?
Definitely Fury. Because like I said, he did something that was amazing. Nobody expected him to do it. He tamed the beast. And unfortunately, Wilder in the second fight, whatever it was, just couldn't get it done. I don't know if it was that damn headdress or whatever, but he had no answer. You can blame Mark Breeden all you want to. Mark Breeden wasn't in the ring.
Okay. John?
Definitely Fury. I mean, even with the Steve Cunningham fight, he got clocked with that right hand, and he went down on his back. He got right up like it was nothing. Like Muhammad Ali did against Joe Frazier when he hit him with that left hook. Muhammad had no business getting up like that, like it was nothing. He just got up like, yeah, he hit me. Okay, let's go. And then he started fighting back. That's another story. But Fury definitely has the resiliency that is amazing that I've seen. And Wilder, that was the first time he was really, really in a bad way. Actually, Ortiz had him really hurt badly in the first fight, if we remember. He was staggering along the road, and he recovered and knocked Ortiz out the next round. But that doesn't matter. Fury, by far, has the resiliency of a champion.
Okay, now I'm going to pause this for a second because it made me think of something. Charles, is that a skill that you can learn, or is that a natural thing?
Wow. I don't know if it's, part natural, right? Because you got to have that dog in you. I mean, that's one thing. You can try to learn it and try to say, oh, we in deep waters. It's not like shooting free throws, right? Part of it is more natural than it is because, like I said, once you get hit or punched, then you got to go, man, am I just going to lay here or am I going to get up and try? So part of it is part of that DAWG. The majority of it is that dog that's inside your inner self.
Okay, John, what do you think of that?
Well, I agree. And there's an instinct, and then there's that desire, that determination. And you see those guys, if you even watch the smaller fights, some guys get knocked down, they jump right up. You know, like, man, this guy is not going away easy. That's what you say. Some guys get knocked down, and you can tell they're like, I don't know if I really want to get up. Not that they're not brave or anything, but there's a level of that, and some of them have more of it.
Well, I think that if you've never been hit, you don't know how you recover from being knocked out. So part of that is you learn from that, but I don't know that you can practice it. You know, you said, hey, you come over here and smack me in the head and see if I get knocked out. Now I have to learn how to recover. See, that's the dichotomy of that. But if you have had it happen before, you do learn from that, you know, and maybe in fight 2, you didn't get up. In fight 7, you did. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I'm worried about that. I don't know exactly how that plays out. Okay. Charles, we'll go back to you. Confidence. Who's more confident going into this fight? Not because of anybody else, but because of themselves. Who has more self-confidence going into this fight?
Ooh. Is it based totally on the person, or is it based on the fights?
What do you think in their head, sitting there right now, who's looking at themselves in the mirror thinking, I have the better chance to win?
Oh, clearly Fury. Fury took it's like I've been to war. I took all he had, and then I flipped it on him, and I put his strength and turned it into a weakness. Because no longer can you hit me with that shot anymore. And I made you look like the smaller man that you are. So yeah, Fury all day. Yes, sir.
Okay, John?
Yeah, Fury, and I wonder about this. Talk about dichotomy, Frank. You're the professor, so you see if you can figure this one out. But when the guy makes excuses like he's cheating or Manny Pacquiao in his last, well, I don't want to make excuses, but my legs felt cramped. It's like you just made an excuse. So what do you mean you don't want to make an excuse? Right. Give me a break. So is that a sign of insecurity, or is it just obviously it's an excuse? Is it both? So that with Wilder, that part I can't figure out. But sure, Wilder's confident, but Fury is really confident.
See, I think in the aftermath, it's an excuse. If you're going into the fight thinking, I got this, and I hope that this is okay, but I'm not going to tell anybody. But then after the fight, you go, well, you know, my shoulder was hurting me before the fight. You know, that's an excuse. But if you're looking in the mirror going, man, I hope this holds up, and I hope I can take a punch. See, I'm thinking Wilder is thinking all these things because of the excuses he's made. Exactly. Man, I hope he doesn't have loaded gloves this time. If he has loaded gloves, I'm in trouble. You know, I think he's in his head right now, and I don't know if you can get out of your head at this point.
Right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be the tough thing. All right. Who has more confidence in their corner? John.
I think Fury. I think Fury. He loves Sugar Hill, and why not? I mean, he loved Ben Davison, and Davison, it was hard for him to let Davison go. Davison was the guy that when he was having all kinds of problems, Fury came back weighing over 300 pounds, and Davison said, look, it's cool. We'll get you back in shape. So letting him go to get Sugar Hill, I mean, that took a lot of belief in Sugar Hill right then. It's not like he had not had success with Ben Davison. So he definitely has a monumental amount of confidence in Sugar Hill. Now, Deontay has a lot of confidence in Malik, but Sugar Hill and Fury have a little history where they had a very successful fight. Deontay hasn't had that with Malik yet, so I think that gives Fury's, in his mind, the edge as far as that goes.
Okay, Charles?
Yeah, definitely. I think Fury, because what was said earlier is the factor that they were looking for a solution. So to find a way for Fury to overcome the obstacle, right? And that was the big right hand. So by coming up with a different plan, getting bigger, and then also removing the fear. We took his best shot. Now let's be aggressive, right? Let's be aggressive now, because we know whatever he throws, you can handle it. We just got to make sure that we don't let him throw as much as he did before and limit the amount of the opportunities. So with that being said, and then as John said, the factor that with Sugar Hill, they were successful. So they accomplished their goal. So definitely from that standpoint, it's like, oh, well, hell, it just, we're going to tweak it a little bit. We're going to get stronger. And we know we may not think he may not be the most clever person in the world. So he's going to get frustrated, and we're going to put in what we normally do.
Okay, we'll close it out with this question. Charles, if it comes down to it being 6'6", 7'5", 5'7", whatever, which guy thinks he will get the decision, and which guy thinks he's going to get shafted?
Fury thinks he gets the decision because it's like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing little things. Wilder's like, everybody's against me. I can't win. I got to knock this dude out. It's kind of like, real quick, the Marquez-Pacquiao situation. Marquez, like, I did every damn thing. I changed styles. I even beat him at his own style. I was more a counter puncher, and I still couldn't win. So you know what? Hell with it. Night-night.
Okay. John, same question.
And he had a good dance partner because Pacquiao said, night to you. I'm going after you. So he just got him first because Pacquiao was going in for the kill and he got killed. What was the question? No. Remind me again, though. It slipped out of the old brain.
Okay. Who thinks in their mind that a decision will go their way or they're going to get screwed?
Oh, yeah. Fury thinks he's going to get the decision because he thinks he's going to score more points, and he is. He's going to score more points. He's going to be busier. Everyone's always busier against Wilder. Unless Wilder comes out, maybe throws some punches to the body or something, that might change the dichotomy a little bit, change the atmosphere a little bit. But yeah, and Wilder is one man against everybody. Wilder doesn't think anybody likes him other than his family and Malik Scott. He thinks we all hate him, which isn't true. But that's how he's feeling. And if that's what he needs to motivate himself, good. Use it. I mean, remember we used to say Michael Jordan would always find something. The great ones find something to motivate themselves. And Wilder is more than motivated by one or two. He's motivated by thousands. So he's gonna think, oh, if I can't win a decision, even if I won 10 rounds, they wouldn't give it to me. They give it to Fury. I got to knock this big fat out.
Okay, so I lied. One last question to get out of here. So, John, how does that affect? Since both of you think that Deontay Wilder thinks he won't win a decision, does that affect him more in how he has to fight, or is he just going to fight his fight?
No, that's always his mindset. I mean, sure, he's got that added thinking that a lot of people don't like him and everything, but that's what he always has been. He's a home run hitter, like we say. He always would go out for a knockout. He goes looking for the knockout. That's what he's going to be doing. He'll be looking for the knockout, maybe doing those little things that he does. And Fury will be Fury. Fury will be thinking that, oh, he's thinking he's going to knock me out. He's not going to knock me out. I'm going to knock him out, or I'm going to win a decision because I've got enough tools that I can also beat him by decision. So Fury thinks he's got it all. Okay.
Charles, any change to that?
Yeah, I'll just say that I think that's the key. So when we know that you mentioned about Deontay Wilder being a home run hitter, the key for Malik Scott is to say, I need to create more opportunities for you, right? Because clearly in the last fight, you didn't have those opportunities. And also, too, I hope Malik Scott is doing one thing for him is, since you got rid of your previous trainer and your corners and all that, you got to clear all that negativity and all that garbage that was around him out of his mind. Also, too, you need to come to the ring like Mike Tyson. Don't be wearing no big ass, excuse my language, mask to the thing where you get to the ring, realize you out of breath because you have 45 pounds on your head. Remove all of the drama. I come out there in the towel if they would let you. Do what you got to do. Come in there, get your mind right. Don't talk to nobody and go after the guy. But most importantly, as you said, they have to create more opportunities. And that might be hitting first, moving around a little bit, because if you don't, we're going to probably see the same situation. Him laying on him, pushing him, getting frustrated, getting tired, and still complaining to his corner that they shouldn't have stopped it. Watch that.
Okay. All right. And I know I said we'd get out of here. I know we're pressed for time. All right, Charles, so prediction. Winner, round if there is a knockout, and if it's not, what's the final score?
Wow. Knockout's going to be 6th round. If it's going to be a knockout, it's going to be Deontay Wilder, 6th round, because he's going to finally move and do what he has to do, and he's going to do that. But if not, I got to go with Fury. He's crafty. He knows what's going on, and he's going to lean on it. He said, I'm going to do this till you prove me wrong. It's like I'm going to keep slapping you in the face until you put your hand up and fight me back. If you don't, it's kind of like a Tom Brady Super Bowl. You don't want it, damn it, I'll take it.
Okay. And how many rounds does he win?
Was it 12?
Yep.
I'm gonna go 7-5.
Okay.
Fury, 7-5.
John?
If Wilder does it, I think he does it inside of 5, so it'll be the 4th or 5th round that he hits him with a big bomb and knocks him out. As far as what happens with, we're all favoring Fury. I think Fury could stop Wilder later, like around 10, but if it goes to full 12, I got Fury winning 8 or 9 rounds to 3 like the first fight, because he's just busier, and he'll get and if he's more aggressive, there's no way the judges are going to go against him. So yeah, probably 8-4. I would say I'll go with that.
Okay. Now I realize I'm the host and no one cares what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's my station, damn it. I don't think there'll be a knockout. I think if it is, it's going to be Fury at 9 or 10. I don't think Wilder's going to be able to squeeze anything off. And I don't think there'll be a knockout, but just by attrition, it might happen for Fury. So I'm going to take Fury 8-4. All right. We will. I think I added that, right? That equals 14, doesn't it? Anyway. All right. And we went a couple minutes longer than we needed to. I know. I ran out of toes. Sorry. Folks, we're going to come back at this next week and we're going to say, ha-ha! We were all wrong. The fight didn't even happen because it rained in Southern California like it did for the football game last night. That's another story entirely. Thanks again. Yeah. Yeah, it rains in Vegas and everything shuts down. You can't get to the site. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be the best thing we have going right now. I don't know if that's a vote of confidence or just I like boxing. I want to see it. I still haven't wrapped my head around that, but that's the way it is. So, folks, thank you again. We will catch up with you later.